can you kind of walk us through, first of all, what degrees you got in at St. Cloud State, and then since then also your educational trajectory?
Yeah, absolutely. So I graduated from SCSU with a degree in sociology and then a degree in planning and community development. And then since that point and kind of launching off from that, ended up getting my master's in public administration, specializing in nonprofit management at the University of Southern California.
In the 6 years that you've been out from your master's in MPA, master's in public administration, what kind of job experiences have you had?
Yeah, so I'll say, but before that, while I was at St. Cloud, my final internship so this was, I was a sociology, not applied sociology, so I didn't have the internship requirement, I think the way that applied sociology does, but I did on the planning and community development side, but instead of doing a more traditional kind of city internship, I chose to work for the Initiative Foundation up in Little Falls and did kind of community development planning type work. So what I would think is more typical of a sociology type internship. So again, speaking to kind of the melding of my two degrees. So I worked there for about a year in total, past my graduation date. And then my degree program, my master's degree program was it was full-time, but it was like nights and weekends kind of thing. So I worked full-time throughout that tenure and worked for a few different nonprofit organizations, one kind of educational focused in the Watts neighborhood of LA, and then another kind of internationally focused sort of journalism. So it was the Daniel Pearl Foundation, and so I'm kind of cross-cultural building using journalism and music was sort of the focus. And so I had that experience sort of during my degree program, and then met my now boss, who worked for a consulting company, a small consulting company that worked with nonprofit organizations. And he was talking about strategic planning, and it was very similar to what I did with the Initiative Foundation. And so we kind of hit it off, and I've worked with him ever since. Most of my work is around kind of strategy development, so strategic planning. We also do partnership discussions, so like mergers between nonprofit organizations, and then a bunch of what I would call capacity building work, so around complex grant development, community needs assessments, board trainings, whatever an organization sort of needs. And a lot of that, so that's kind of the functional piece, but in terms of the areas of work has been around behavioral health organizations for the most part, as well as some youth development and early education. So that full 6 years has been sort of with this firm and working with nonprofits in that capacity.
And how do you see the kind of coursework you did in your sociology degree and in the community development degree? How did that prepare, kind of lay the groundwork for all the stuff that you've done since then that you just got done telling us about?
Mm-hmm. I think sociology really provides the framework, the sort of understanding of the world, of society, of the ills in society, the challenges in society, the structural inequity, and really nonprofits are there to help address some of those challenges, issues, understanding of the role that nonprofit organizations can and should be playing in addressing some of those again, those challenges that is kind of the core of what sociology studies. And then, so beyond kind of the theoretical, I also think there's just a lot of critical thinking skills and abilities that come through sociology. Everything, it's not a degree or a course of study where there's like a singular answer. It's not do this, sift through this problem and then you find the perfect solution, or again, that kind of singular, here's the issue, here's how we address the issue. So a lot of it is really building the skills to to deal with these big, complex, challenging issues, to understand what sort of underlies them, and then work towards the best solution you can.
What kind of advice would you give to a sociology student today?
I would say that, so it sort of depends on the path you want to take. I think I knew that I didn't want to, I think there's kind of an academic path. And so ultimately I chose that that's not exactly what I wanted to go down. And so it was more about what's the sort of practical application of some of the theory that we're learning about. And so I think early exposure to, I mean, in my instance, it was nonprofit organizations. And so I can remember, I think my, I don't know, first, second semester had a class in which the sociology professor brought in Dr. Mumbi Mwangi, who is a gender and women's studies professor, but runs an organization called Ngata International. And through that initial, I think they were looking for volunteers. And so volunteered, ended up helping to form a student organization to raise funds for this organization, and really gave me exposure into nonprofits, and then also just the sort of practical application of, what do we do to help kind of work towards solutions to some of these issues. And that was really invaluable, and something that, again, kind of just paired perfectly with what I was learning in the classroom, experiencing in the classroom. So I would say, look for those kind of extracurricular opportunities, ways to test, what you might be interested in, and just ways to sort of apply what you're learning.
Good practical advice. Well, congratulations on how far you've come in just 8 years. I look forward to talking to you, in another 10 years and find out just how much further you've gone.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And if I could add one more, just sort of anecdote about my experience at St. Cloud, or really experience after, I remember my first days at USC and being really intimidated, meeting all of my classmates who went to some, very esteemed universities, Stanford, Berkeley, NYU, Brown, Harvard, whatever, and just being really, just overcome with this kind of sense of intimidation and kind of how am I gonna stack up? How am I gonna do? And really quickly in courses and kind of our classwork, it became clear that St. Cloud prepared me really well for what was to come. I didn't feel, I felt very much a peer to those individuals. And whereas I think initially I kind of said St. Cloud quietly and had to explain to everyone what it was, over the course of my time, I said it with more and more pride, and just really, it really validated the value of my education, and I think just the value of St. Cloud State, of the sociology department. And so I'm very appreciative for